Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first ever video podcast for Chai and Conversation. My name is Azadeh Shams, and I'm joined today by Azadeh Shams. Same last name. Salam, Azadeh.
Salam. Hi, everyone.
We're so happy to have you. So this podcast will be both just on our regular podcast, and we're also putting it on YouTube. So either you're watching us record this or you're listening to it as usual. And so Azadeh, I first came across on Instagram. She has some really wonderful content for people raising half Iranian children. And this program obviously is raising Neem-Roonis. We've talked to several people so far. All of them have been in the US who have been trying to keep the Persian language going with their children. And so Azadeh is our first person from another country, which comes with a few differences that I'm going to talk about. But she has such good insight into raising children that speak multiple languages. And so I'm really excited to talk to you today, Azadeh. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much. I'm so excited too.
Yeah, and we've been trying to talk for a while, but with the corona going on in the background for a while, Azadeh was stuck somewhere, and now I'm stuck somewhere. I'm not in Texas right now, I'm in New York. So hopefully,
I know.
So hopefully things will calm down now. Yeah. Well, so first I want to ask you to tell me a little bit about your background. Where were you born, and what is your language background?
I was born in Iran till I was 19. So Persian is my mother tongue in every aspect. I'm fluent in reading and writing. And when I was 19 years old, I went to Florence to study product design. And I lived in Italy. It's almost 17 years. Oh my God. Wow. And then, when I finished my study, I went to New York. I lived there for 2 years and a half almost, and I worked. And then I came back to Italy, and I finished my study in Politecnico di Milano and design engineering. And now I started my own business, and that's my background, like educational background. And about the languages, I know, Persian is the most important and the most, it's the language which I'm most comfortable with. I know Italian and English. I understand German, but I can't speak. And that's it.
And so how is your English? How did you learn English? This is a side question. It's so
English,
good.
I went like so many people in Iran. I went to English Institute. So okay. I learned it like that. And then it was, I love languages, and it was, I studied, I went to this institute, but then I was interested in English. So I started to watching all the movies in original languages, in English. And then I started even chatting with people. I remember when Yahoo Messenger came, I was looking for some English people to chat with, and the same way that I learned Italian actually before going to Italy. So yeah, it's just on hobby. When you like something, you just find a way to learn it. I don't know.
Right. Well, so this interview series is called Raising Neem-Roonis, and we're talking to people that are married to people who are not Iranian, and they're trying to raise their kids speaking Persian. So first, I should have said this in the introduction, but Azadeh creates toys and educational materials for children that are very wonderful. So we'll link to that in the show notes. Very beautifully designed. Obviously, she has a design background. I'm also an architect, so I also come from a design background. And so my next question is, where did you meet your spouse, and where is your spouse from?
My spouse is from, actually, he has two different nationalities. His mom was from Switzerland, and his dad was from Austria, but they met in Milan, and they raised the family there. So he was born in Milan and raised, he was born and grew up here, but they always spoke German at home, and he went to German school of Milan. So he's basically bilingual. And we met in Milan. And what was the other question?
Oh, so that was it. How and where you met your spouse, and what background that they have. And so then you ended up getting married and having two
Yes.
children. Is that right so far?
Yeah. So far it's fine.
Okay. And what are the ages of your children and what is their language speaking journey?
Okay. Diana is 5 years and a half,
Mhm.
5 years and 10 months. And Adrian is 21 months.
Mhm.
So I always spoke Persian with them. I speak Farsi with them, with both of them. And actually, at the beginning, when I knew that I'm pregnant, the most important thing that we talked about was actually the language, because
Mhm.
my husband, he is bilingual, and we are living in Italy, so he could choose which language he can go with them. But I said I'm comfortable with Farsi, and I cannot even imagine speaking other language with my children. It's not about, of course, it's about culture and everything, but it was my laziness too. I couldn't even imagine to speak another language. It's not just say or these things. It's the whole me. I mean, I couldn't
Yeah.
be myself in other language.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, you choose whatever you want. I'm going to speak Farsi. And then because we decided to send them to German School of Milan for many reasons, a very good school. And so he said she's gonna learn Italian eventually, because we live here anyway. So he started speaking German with her at the beginning. From the beginning, it was challenging at the beginning because he didn't know anything Farsi and I didn't know anything in German. But we both learned a little bit. So now Diana knows very good Farsi and very good German, and I can't tell you now which one she's more comfortable with, because she speaks very good both of them.
Wow.
And she doesn't want us to speak any other language. I mean, even if I speak something in Italian or in English to her, if we are somewhere or for any reason, she just turned me and said, "No, speak Farsi after Zambama." And the same thing with with her dad. And I think it will be the same with Adrian too. I always heard that the second children will know less of the mother language,
Right.
because the first child will always speak the common language. But
Right.
in our case, it's still not happening, because Diana speaks Farsi with Adrian when I'm around. And
Ah.
most of the time she speaks German with him when Franco is around.
Okay.
And so many times I found them, like when they are alone together, where they are playing in the room, she speaks Farsi, and he knows, Adrian knows more words now in Farsi rather than German.
Wow.
So I cannot speak about him, but Diana, she speaks very good Farsi, and she's
That's
okay with that till
amazing.
now.
Okay. Well, so to tell you a little bit about this series, you're maybe the 8th or 9th person that I've talked to. And most of the people I have talked to have not been able to keep their children speaking Farsi, most of them. There's one exception, and that is Shabnam Rezai, are you familiar with her work?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so
I've heard her
Shabnam
interview
Rezai.
too. Yeah.
So she also has an Austrian background, and so
Yeah.
her kids are speaking German, Farsi, and so she's the
English.
only one who's been able to do it. And I think that there are some differences with people with international backgrounds versus people living just in the United States. I've talked, for example, with my cousins about this, and they have no sympathy for what we're going through. They say, well, why don't you just speak the language, just keep them speaking Farsi. It's not that hard. So I think that
Yeah.
there's a difference. But you talked a lot about the one parent, one language. Is that right? It's
Yeah.
a OPOL, which I've been looking up since becoming familiar with your work. So can you talk a little bit about that and what you think the correct method of doing this is?
It's language is very it's not like teaching mathematics. It's much more culture into it and much more of ourselves into it. So everyone should find their way to deal with this. Even with the Opel method, but they said that okay, everyone speaks their own language. There are some challenges that everyone should find themselves comfortable with. But I just found that there are some beliefs that maybe it's not true. For example, when we were talking about politeness, we say, okay, if we are all Iranians, we have two American friends, it's to be polite, it's correct to everyone speaks English. I understand that it's for avoiding some misunderstanding and so many other things. Yes, that's true. But I think when the child comes in the middle, we have to redefine the politeness. That's this thing that I was talking about it with my husband. I told him, when your German friend, Austrian friend come, don't worry about me. I mean, I won't how do you say that?
I won't offend me.
It won't offend me if you speak German. I don't care. I mean, if you speak German with Diana or everybody else, because we're creating this environment for her for acquisition, language acquisition, because we don't teach our mother tongue to the children. They just learn it. They have to hear it. They have to interact with it, and then they will learn. They will eventually learn anyway. And but if they want to speak or not, that's something else. Okay, but they will understand that. So I think so many people, they speak, for example, if you're talking about Iranians in US, they speak Farsi with the children when they're alone, when they're kids. But if American friends come, they switch because it's polite to do that. I think we have to redefine that when it comes to a child. Okay, I will speak, of course, for example, I will speak Italian with my Iranian friends when we are at home. Okay, but when I turn to Diana, I always speak Farsi with her because it's what kind of the misunderstanding comes when a person doesn't know exactly what you're talking about. Maybe you're talking behind his back, but what can I possibly say to a 2-year-old? It's a political discussion or what. We know what we are talking about, and for giving some message to other mothers or something, I just used maybe 1 or 2 words, like if they comes, they're fighting, and say, it's good to share. I say the whole thing in Farsi. Maybe I say like 2 words in the middle just to send a message to other people that what I'm talking to her, because that's where the misunderstanding happened, so this is one of the reasons. And the other reason that maybe people say that it's hard to teach their mother tongue is it's very classic when we speak, for example, Farsi at home with the kids, and then we send them to daycare. They come back home with English words. That this happens, I think, up to 100%. Happens to me too. Diana came back home with Italian words. Doesn't matter. I continue to speak Farsi. That's very common because she sees other children speaking Italian. So that's very normal. It has to happen. It should happen. And also the teachers in the school, they know that, for example, this child doesn't know Italian. So they continue repeating some words to her. For example, very basic words like hungry, water, or me, whatever. They start repeating those words. And that's exactly the same method that we have to do at home. Okay. I don't believe in correcting. So when she comes to me and said mio, it means it's mine. The first word was mio. Mio, it's mine. And I always in Farsi, I know it's yours. No, it's mio. Okay, I know. She said Italian.
Right.
I just translate it in my mind in Farsi, and I respond to her in Farsi, and she will figure it out. It's not just me. I have other 4 or 5 friends here in Milan that they use the same method, and all their children speak Farsi. We see each other once a week, and they're all okay. They never correct them. They never say, I don't understand what you're saying. They don't say them, well, no, you have to speak Farsi here, or none of them. So I think this works because it's not just me. So
I mean, I've been having a problem with it. So my son is 3, or no, he just turned 4 last week. So he and he was speaking perfect Farsi, and then we have my second son is 15 months, so he can't speak anything yet. But the same thing, as soon as he started school, like he said, I only speak Farsi with him. And that's been a challenge because it's uncomfortable to be in a room with people and they don't understand what you're saying and you just have to keep
I know.
But I think you're right. We have to change this perception. It's a bit of a,
yeah.
Go ahead.
That's a perception. Sorry,
Yes,
I
I
interrupted you. I wanted to say this, what I do usually, it's because, for example, in our case, for me, it's important also, Diana, learn Italian. So when we are with Italian people, I really try to talk as less as possible. I mean, to say like the most, just the most important thing. Some maybe just 2 or 3 sentence I tell her in 2 hours. So I just leave her alone to hear Italian and interact with Italian people.
Okay.
If it is really necessary, I go and I talk to her in Farsi, or I just talk and call her to say, okay, don't do that, or to say this or say that.
Right.
The other thing that we can do is, for example, because there are different situations, and this is one of the things that actually I wanted to do with my YouTube channel, to create the situation and say what I do and
that would
what
be
I
great.
think. When we are sitting, moms, dads, and the children are playing, everybody speaks Italian in my case. Diana comes and they are fighting over something or whatever, they want something, and she doesn't want to share, for example, toys, the most common thing. She comes and she said, or one of the children wants to take one of her toys home. She comes, من میخوام اسباب بازیمو ببره، من نمیخوام. من میگم که okay مامان جون برو بهش بگو که you can have it, but then next time you come you can have it, you bring it back please. So the sentence that she has to say to the Italian kid, I tell her Italian, because in that case I help her to know, because I know that she has difficulties in that language too. So I will in that case, I send a message to other people that what I'm saying to my children. Right. I don't care. At the beginning, I speak Farsi. I don't care. Right. But the sentence actually that she has to say, okay, you can have it. Okay.
Right.
So this is one of the things that I did, and it works for me.
Okay, that's nice. Well, so now in my case, so these kids, and especially in the United States, I think that is a bigger issue in the United States. They're going to school, they're speaking this majority language of the world. It's a majority language in the world, and it's the dominant language. It's the language of power. It's the language of, all these things. So we have a lot of issues here in general, but it's just very difficult. So I've gotten to the point, actually, before I was watching your YouTube videos and before I was listening to your advice, I had gotten to the point where I would get so frustrated and I would just say, I don't understand, just speak to me in Farsi, which you say do not do at all. So what is
I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, I won't say don't do it. I mean, but I don't think it's a good idea, because the most important thing is what children are telling us. The mother language or second language, everything is just an added value to their life. If they don't speak it at the end, doesn't matter. I really think one of the reasons that Diana speaks, because I really didn't that much care that she has to speak that,
Okay.
Whatever language she wants to speak, okay, but I speak Farsi because it's more comfortable for me,
Okay, right.
And so if we push it, I don't know, maybe there are some people, I know some second generation that they said, yeah, our parents forced us and now we thank them. I don't know, maybe it's a good, but I saw so many children that I'm still in touch with them, my students in US, that they don't like it because they say, for example, I don't like when Khala Shahnaz come, because I usually speak English at home, but then Khala Shahnaz come, my mom forced me to speak Farsi, and I don't know some words, and I don't even want to go to sit with them, even if I like her. But if I go there and say something in English, my mom correct me and I don't like it and I leave. Wow. So, and then you listen to the parents and say, no, these children, they don't want to come along. I mean, if we have our Iranian parties, they don't want to come, because we correct them, because we force them to be something that it's not comfortable with them. Okay.
Right.
I think, and I hear from them actually. So that's the thing. But you still see some people that say, yeah, our parents forced us and now we're okay, we thank them now that they forced us to school.
Or more often you hear, my parents didn't force me and I'm mad now. I hear that a lot.
That too. That too.
heard that a
So
lot.
I really don't think, I mean, but it depends on the age, depends on the age, depends on the personality, depends. We can't set a general rule for everyone, you know.
Right.
For
And
example, in the United States, you say yes in the United States because, you know, if we exclude United States, Australia, and Canada, over 65% of the people of the world are bilingual.
Oh,
But the
so
United
sad.
States itself just dropped down this is statistic because it's just 20% of the people in the United States are bilingual. You know, so they dropped down the world statistic to 43%.
Amazing.
Okay?
Wow.
Because,
okay. I didn't know that.
because just for example, look at Iran. Like, I don't know if there's a very statistic, I mean, official statistic about this, but over 70%, I guess, they are bilingual. They are all the Azerbaijans, all the South Iran, Kurdistan, they are all have their own language, and they know Farsi, of course, because it's the language of TV and the schools. So in Europe, we are used to hearing more languages. And I think that's it, because now I'm in Milan. If we drive like half an hour toward north, we arrive in Switzerland, like 2 hours south, we arrive in France, and 2 hours east, we arrive in Germany. So
I am very jealous. I know.
We're used to hear, you know, more languages, and the common opinion, the society opinion of that, it's very important. In the United States, usually, if we exclude California and New York, the rest, it's not that much used to high-class immigrant, unfortunately.
Let's add Texas in there too. Let's add Texas. So yeah.
No, I know the majority, because the immigrants comes from the poor country there to work and to have the better life. That's the, you know, the of course there are exceptions, but this is the whole general idea in the United States, you know. So second language, English is the dominant, the good language, and the second language is Spanish, or everything else is, you know, the minority. So they don't look at it as a value to know it. So that's the look, you know. But initially, I mean, in Europe, between Italian, German, and French or Spanish, you can't say which one is better or which one is dominant, you know. So.
And also, I'll say in the US, we have the race issue. And I think that's a big part. There's the white supremacy. There's the, you know, that's the dominant language of that. And I think we get that mixed in as well.
Yeah.
And so a lot of Spanish
is also in Europe too, but they are, that's about outside of Europe. Inside Europe, they're not really, I mean, yes, the French people they're not okay with Italian because they're fighting over who makes the best wine, but not the language, you know.
I see, you're right. But what I'm taking away then from what you're saying, and what I've taken away from your videos, watching them this past few months, is that you can't control what the child does, but you can control what you do. And like, you do something out of love, because that's the language that you best express your love to your child. And so maybe they'll speak it, and even if they don't, at least they understand it. And so they can do it at their own will. So you're not forcing the child, you're respecting them.
Exactly, because if we don't force them, we respect them, we create better relationship between ourselves, between parent and child, better parent-child relationship. And when this relationship is better, it's easier for them to catch what it's from our side. You know what I mean?
So now practically at the dinner table, what's going on at your dinner table?
We're always translating. Oh my God, the dinner table is so, I have some friends, whenever our friends come, they say, oh, we have a headache. How many languages do you speak? How can you manage that? Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, what I said, I speak in Farsi with Diana, and they speak German. And if I want to say something, for example, I say, Diana, be papa bego imroz chikar kardi? Papa, sai Diana cosa ha fatto oggi? Lady, no. I mean, we understand a little bit what we're talking about. For example, Franco understands that I'm asking Diana to tell him something, but he doesn't know what. Okay, so usually we switch, we translate, or sometimes we even don't. You know what I think? I was actually talking about this to one of my friends. We underestimate sometimes our partners, because we speak, for example, I hear so many people say, I speak German, I speak English in the dinner table because I don't want the father to be excluded.
Yes, I've said that.
I understand that completely, but I understand if actually the father actually said this, that do not speak Farsi because I want to be included. Because I'm saying as a parent that my children speaks a language that I don't understand. And it's just fascinating. I don't understand what they're talking about, but I just look at them. I say, oh my God, look at this just 4-year-old. She, in just 4 years old, I'm almost 40, and she's just 4-year-old, and she knows a language that I don't. I just admire them. Maybe they're fighting, you know, but I'm just looking at them and I admire them. Just so please do not take this nice feeling from your partners, because I think if they really they love the family and they know the value of languages, they will admire this too. So unless they actually tell you that I don't like to speak, I mean, I don't want you to speak Farsi. Other than that, I think we have to talk about this, and this is very nice. I mean, why should I really know? I mean, I sometimes, I'm so happy that I don't know what they're talking about, because I know that if I know, I will interfere. Yeah. And that's not a good idea, you know?
So they have their own relationship in that language. Exactly. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay, especially in the car. I remember, for example, when we were in Austria, Diana asked something about the cross, and we never had a religion discussion with Franco. I think the only religion discussion that we had, he asked me, do you go to mosque on Fridays? I said, no. Do you go to church on Sunday? I said, no. He said, you're going to put the cross on her home. He said, no. Do you want to put Allah? No, that's it. I mean, we didn't discuss anything else. So, okay. And I remember she saw the cross with the Jesus on it, and she asked something, Franco, and he starts talking. And in that case, I'm pretty sure if the discussion was in Italian or English, I would have interfered, and probably it wouldn't be good, because then she will know that we're not in the same page, or I don't know. So then when we came home, I said, what was she asking about? She said, yeah, he asked about the Christ, and I said this, and I said that. I said, okay, the next time she asked for example, the religion, it's better if we answer like this. But in that moment, I was happy that I didn't understand, because otherwise I would have interfered. So we can look at this in this way too. I mean, we should not know everything that is going on.
That's nice. I love that. I love that perspective. Well, so you've answered this in a lot of ways, but do you think it's important to, I mean, you're saying for you it's important because it's your mother tongue and it's the language of the way you express love, but is it important to pass that language on to the next generation? In particular, Farsi, let's say.
I think it is. I think it is. Every mother tongue, every different languages, because as Arash Karami was telling you in the interview, which I really enjoyed, that it's the emotions that we give to our child. It's give them a rich life. You know, if we have the rich emotions, we have a rich life. If I know, if she sees, for example, an Iranian movie or Iranian song, she feels something, she has something that maybe her friend doesn't have, and that just gives the more value to her life. And I think that's the most important thing that we can give them, the rich emotions, rich point of views to so many other things. People who know it's not just a language, it's not just the words putting together with the grammar, it's the whole culture, it's the whole point of view. And I think the people who know more cultures, they are less racist in any kind, not toward human being, any kind of point of views. I mean, they have the open views. You know, if we see the life as a garden, languages are like, you know, the old houses, they have so many windows around. No, every language, I think it's one of these windows. So if we know more, we have more point of view toward this life, and it's good. Just simply good. If we can, we have to do it. If we have this opportunity, we should give them, I guess.
Right. That's wonderful. Well, to close, I would like to ask you, can you tell me a bit about the products that you create? So you have a lot of different products from your design background, physical products, and you also have some digital downloads on your website. So can you tell me about those a little bit?
Sure. I wanted to teach Diana the Persian alphabet before she learned the Latin alphabet, and I just created some toys for her at home, the small things. And then I thought maybe it can be interesting for other parents, and I took them to the next step. And now I have 4 toys produced, and I have it on my website. Some of them are available on Amazon, and some of them directly through the website.
Which we'll link to all of these on this show notes for this program too. What is your website?
azitoys.com. It's my website.
It's
www.azitoys.com.
Okay.
Aussie Toys or AZ Toys. And they can see that there. And Random, for example, is a very good game. We played with dice, and here in Milan, for example, many language institute play with them because we can play in so many languages with it, and it's interesting. And I have made some like worksheets.
Yes.
For a Persian alphabet that you can download it from my website. Also, I called it Happy Peik because when I was going to school in Iran, we had Peik Shadi. I don't know if you remember that. And so I called it Happy Peik too. And it's kind of that version, but it's the way that I teach Diana the alphabets, and it's available there too. Hopefully, we're talking about Amazon in US, so we will be open soon in US, so I can send my products in US too, because the biggest market, Iranians outside of Iran, are in the United States, so I hopefully could reach them too.
Yeah, definitely. We'll update whenever that happens. And then what about your YouTube? How do we find your YouTube videos?
It's Aussie Toys, Azadeh Shams, Aussie Toys. I think it's the only,
Yeah. And we'll link to that as well, because you have a lot of good videos on there. I hope you're making more and more. I know they take so much time. You too.
I know, but 2 kids, yes. But now, hopefully, little by little, I will put. I wasn't active during this COVID now, but I will be redo always.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. It was a really fun conversation. I learned a lot. I think I know some things I'm going to do differently now.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so happy to talk to you. And
I'm sure we'll have I'm sure we'll have more conversations as time goes on, as our kids grow older and we have more questions.
Sure. Thank